Good evening and welcome to the Department of Psychiatry and Human Behavior Appointments and Promotion Ceremony for 2021. Thank you for coming to congratulate all of our wonderful faculty who have worked hard and have been promoted over the course of the last year. You'll be hearing about many of their accomplishments in the coming minutes. To start with, I'd like to thank Holly Wilker, who is our administrative guru for faculty affairs. Everybody knows here that the way to promotion is through Holly's door. And we appreciate all the hard work she puts into making certain that the faculty is promoted in a timely way. I'd also like to thank Van Miller and Barbara Thylenda, our chairs of our Academic and Clinical Faculty Promotions Committee, for all the hard work that they have done over the number of years that they've been involved in this, as well as all the committee members who are all invested in making certain that we get as many faculty promoted as possible. I'd like to mention that anyone can leave congratulatory remarks via the question and answer function, and the remarks will go live at the end of the event. So feel free to congratulate those people who are being promoted this evening. And with that, I'd like to introduce our next segment of full faculty promotions and have Van Miller introduce our first promotion.
It's my pleasure to introduce Lauren Weinstock as a full professor in our department. Hi, Lauren. Lauren, like many other people, Lauren came for us through a personal connection. She worked in the lab of a former psychology intern who's now at the University of Colorado, and came to us as a psychology intern. She stayed here, got her first grant, an F-32 postdoctoral fellowship, and stayed on. Although technically she's employed by Brown for a long lost historical reasons, she's got strong ties and collaborations with the psychosocial research program at Butler. And in the subsequent years, supported by a series of R34, R01, and foundation grants, she's made important contributions and developed an international reputation, not just in one, but in two major areas, bipolar disorder and suicide prevention. Most recently, she's completed leading the largest, I believe, the largest study of suicide prevention in jails in this country, and is on the cusp of receiving a center grant to establish a National Center for Health and Justice Integration in Suicide Prevention. Along the way, she's taking on increasing administrative responsibility in the department, currently serving as the director of the psychology residency, as well as a co-PI on a T32 training grant. She's also the associate director of the Consortium for Research Innovation in Suicide Prevention. Finally, Lauren has participated, relatively tirelessly in the community, advocating for a variety of suicide prevention efforts in Rhode Island that is starting to see some real effects, I think, on reducing suicide in the state. So it's my pleasure to welcome Lauren to the richly deserved rank of full professor in our department. So congratulations.
It's my pleasure to welcome John Graham Thomas as a professor in our department. Is my video on? Hey, there he is. Hi, Graham. You've all heard of faculty who are considered triple threats, but Graham is one of those people who's a quadruple threat. He excels in research, statistics, administration, and mentoring. Graham received his PhD degree in clinical psychology from Drexel, where he was awarded a prize for the student most likely to bring fame to the university. Well, that's my wording, what that title was. He came to Brown in 2009 to complete a clinical research internship and has stayed on ever since that time. Graham's research focuses on the use of e-health and m-health approaches to assess a number of different, to assess and intervene on health behaviors, particularly those related to obesity. He's received a number of different NIH grants for his research, and he is currently a PI on an R01, an MPI on an R18, and PI of 7 subcontracts. Many of these subcontracts speak to his skills in statistical analysis, including methodological approaches such as EMA. As evidence of Graham's administrative skills, he is currently the Associate Director of the Weight Control and Diabetes Research Center, an Associate Director of the T32 in Cardiovascular Behavioral Medicine, and coordinator of the DPHB Research Fellowship Seminars. His skills at mentoring are apparent in the fact that he won the award, the DPHB Mentoring Award in 2019, and also by looking at the new young faculty he is so successfully mentoring. Finally, if I can name a 5th threat that I think Graham possesses, it's his computer skills and his willingness to help those of us less skilled in that domain. So congrats from all of us to Graham as you assume the professor position in our department.
Thank you. I'm here to present 2 faculty members who are being promoted to associate professor who were unable to be here tonight. The first is Willoughby Britain. Willoughby received her undergraduate degree from Colgate University in neuroscience, and then her PhD in clinical psychology from the University of Arizona. She completed her internship and her postdoctoral fellowship here and then moved on to a K Award as she joined our faculty. Willoughby is nationally known for her work in mindfulness and has taught mindfulness to both clinical and non-clinical populations, as well as in a number of federally funded clinical trials. She's particularly well known internationally for her research on the potential risks and adverse effects of meditation. So we congratulate Willoughby on her promotion. The next faculty member who I'm here to present is Ethan Moitra. Ethan Moitra received his BA in psychology from the University of Virginia and his PhD from Drexel University, just like Graham. He completed his clinical psychology internship at West Virginia University Medical Center and then came to Brown as a postdoctoral research fellowship where he stayed on and joined our faculty. Ethan's research interests focus on the application of behavioral interventions, particularly acceptance-based techniques to promote adherence to and engagement in care among people with HIV or risk for HIV infection, as well as among individuals with serious mental illness and substance use disorders. And Ethan has an active clinical practice, which he is at tonight, and that's why he could not be here. But congratulations to Ethan for your promotion to associate professor.
It is my absolute honor to present my colleague, Dr. Ernestine Jennings, for promotion to Associate Professor, Teacher Scholar Track. Dr. Jennings is traveling, so I'm hoping she's on and can hear us, but wasn't sure she'd be able to get a good connection, so we have a slide. Dr. Jennings is being promoted, as I said, to the Teacher Scholar Track in acknowledgement of her exceptional commitment to the teaching mission of the Department of Psychiatry and Human Behavior, and particularly to the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and her long-standing training and clinician interaction through the DPHB. She has served as founding co-chair for the Diversity Committee in the department, which I believe is the oldest diversity committee in the medical school at Brown. She provides clinical supervision to psychology residents in behavioral medicine, as well as postdoctoral fellows in adult psychiatry. And she serves on the DPHB Anti-Racism Steering Committee, as well as the Lifespan Advisory Committee on Anti-Racism and Health. She also serves as a mentor through the Office of Diversity and Multicultural Affairs. In addition to her teaching, she does enormous amounts of clinical service to our department in many different areas, and also serves as a researcher. Her current studies involve examining exercise as a strategy to maintain smoking cessation in postpartum women. And she serves as a co-investigator on our newly funded Stress, Trauma, and Resilience COBRE. So we're super excited to have her there. And I just wanted to say how grateful we are to call Ernestine a colleague at the Center for Behavioral and Preventive Medicine and in our department, and super happy to welcome you as a teacher scholar.
Hello, everybody. It's my distinct pleasure to be honoring Carolina Hans-Coughlin at this event, who's being promoted to Associate Professor in the Department of Psychiatry and Human Behavior. Carolina, there you are, embodies the quintessential translational scientist, having received her bachelor's from UC Berkeley in chemistry, all the way to doing randomized clinical trials with us at the Center for Alcohol and Addiction Studies. In between, of course, Carolina received her doctorate, and this was in pharmacy from UC San Francisco. She then did a neuroscience postdoc at UCSF and at the Gallo Institute, which was at the time the leading alcohol center in the United States. She then did a clinical fellowship in pharmacology and experimental therapeutics at UCSF's medical school. Then she came to us at the Center for Alcohol and Addiction Studies and participated in our T32 training grant, where she began to work on randomized clinical trials, which is essentially a major part of her research program to this date. Indeed, at one time, while she was at CASH, she held a K Award, a project lead role on our COBRE grant in an R01. Just a remarkable accomplishment, an embarrassment of plenties, and so characteristic of Carolina's track record in terms of grantspersonship. She has really hit it out of the park with multiple awards, clinical awards from foundation grants to do basic chemistry, all the way through more clinical grants funded by NIDA and NIAAA. She has been recently studying the pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of the interaction between alcohol and various medications, and has really sort of carved out a focus on developing meds for the treatment of substance use disorders, particularly alcohol use disorder and opioid use disorder. Service-wise, Carolina also has hit it out of the park, both nationally as well as here at Brown. First, here at Brown, she serves on the Institutional Review Board, as well as on the Biosafety Committee, two very important committees in our academy. And nationally, she has a standing membership on an NIH study section, as well as several other roles, editing journals and reviewing manuscripts. With regard to her sort of teaching and mentoring, again, Carolina has excelled mentoring students at all levels, undergraduate, graduate, medical students, both from local domains as well as from abroad. She's actually sort of attracted students from abroad at this early stage in her career. It's really a pleasure to have you with us, Carolina, and I give you my genuine congratulations for a job well done. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm pleased to introduce David Barker as Associate Professor in Research. He received his PhD in Pediatric Health Psychology from the University of Miami in 2010. He completed his clinical psychology internship at Brown and continued here in our HIV T32 research training program, and then received an NIH K23 award. It was a pleasure to be his mentor and now to be his collaborator. He is multi-skilled. He's a researcher, data scientist, and clinician. Because of his data analytic and methodological expertise, Dave has been a valuable contributor with almost every group in our division. In addition, he's now director of a core in the new Cobrey Center for Sleep and Circadian Rhythms in Child Mental Health. He also has his own independent funding for the development of his novel work on causal modeling to help us better understand what works for which participants. He conducts his own behavioral research, which is centered on assisting youth during important developmental transitions, such as transition in care. And he's done this in a variety of populations, including adolescents with cystic fibrosis in the US and youth living with HIV in Ghana. In addition to his extensive quantitative understanding of important developmental transitions, I'm sure that as a proud father of 4 boys, that's right, 4 boys, he has a personal, deep, qualitative understanding of those transitions and their impact on families. Congratulations, Dr. Barker, on your well-deserved promotion. And next, we are going to switch to the clinical faculty tracks. And I'm delighted to introduce now Matthew Willis as Associate Professor, Clinician Educator. Matt received his MD, his MPH, and his spouse from the University of Connecticut. So it was a very comprehensive program there. He then came to our triple board program, which is equally comprehensive because in addition to his pediatric, general psychiatry, and child psychiatry training, he's now the proud father of 4 girls. So that's right, this is the second person that has 4 children, all the same gender, if you're keeping track. Since completing his training, he's been staff psychiatrist and pediatrician in the Hasbro psychiatry programs. He is an acclaimed teacher in our fellowship with multiple awards, a scholar in the area of conversion disorders and eating disorders, and a good citizen, serving ably on several university and departmental committees. He is now co-director of the Hasbro Children's Partial Hospital Program, which is known for its outstanding clinical care and as being a wonderful training site for med students, residents, fellows, and postdocs in family-based therapy. I knew that he was an expert in family-based models, but never knew how committed or persuasive he was until I realized that his program functions so well that it's autonomous, doesn't rely on the division's faculty for after-hours coverage or crisis support. That's truly a well-functioning and motivated family team. But I guess that's to be expected with someone successfully raising 4 young daughters. Dr. Willis, congratulations on all of your accomplishments and your promotion.
I have the pleasure of presenting 2 colleagues that I have worked with for almost 2 decades. The first is Dr. Ellen Flynn. Dr. Flynn did her psychiatry residency at UMass Medical School and followed that with a fellowship in consultation liaison psychiatry at Brigham and Women's, and she's boarded in that specialty. She came to Brown as a clinical assistant professor and joined the department with that role in 2007. One of her areas of expertise is perinatal psychiatry. She teaches didactics to the residency and postpartum psychosis and perinatal bipolar disorder, and she's given national and international talks on those topics. Her other passion and area of expertise is mindfulness, as particularly mindfulness-based stress reduction as an intervention for medical illness, psychiatric illness, and trainees. We run a 4th year psychiatry residency month-long elective in the 4th year. It's primarily in reproductive psychiatry, but Dr. Flynn makes sure that each PG4 resident gets an exposure to mindfulness. In addition, in the residency, she teaches for several years now the PG1s, and she's expanding her mindfulness training in the residency to all of the years. In addition, she's faculty of the what's called Psychosomatic Fellowship at Lifespan, now called the Consultation Liaison Psychiatry Fellowship. She's one of the core faculty of that fellowship. And so that started in 2017. She has been working with Dr. Jha, a colleague, to understand the role of attention training and affect regulation in medical students. And she runs a month-long mindfulness course for medical students that is very popular. She's also a member of the advisory board of the Office of Women in Medicine and Science. And Dr. Flynn, congratulations on your promotion to clinical associate professor. The next longstanding colleague that I have the pleasure of presenting is Dr. Carmen Manzan. Dr. Manzan completed her psychiatry residency at Yale University and joined the faculty in 2005 as a clinical assistant professor. She is also boarded in clinical and in consultation liaison psychiatry, and she is also a member of the fellowship at Lifespan since 2017. She has expertise also in reproductive psychiatry, perinatal psychiatry in particular, and she is one of the main supervisors in our fourth year elective that I just mentioned. She also teaches didactics to the residency in postpartum depression. Her main teaching role has been with third year medical students. She does a very popular outpatient 8-week half-day rotation for third year medical students doing their psychiatry clerkship. She's been doing that for 10 years. And for that work, she has gotten the Dean's Excellence in Teaching Award 3 times since 2013, which is a testament to her teaching with the third year medical students. She is an active member of the Office of Diversity and Multicultural Affairs at Alpert Medical School. She acts as a parent of groups. It's a type of mentorship for house staff, students, and attendings who identify as underrepresented in medicine. She's very active in this. She's also a member of the advisory board of the Office of Women in Medicine and Science. Welcome and congratulations, Dr. Manzan, on your promotion to clinical associate professor. Well deserved.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to present Dr. Laura Stanton, who is being promoted tonight to clinical associate professor. I first met Laura when she was a resident at Brown more than 10 years ago when I supervised her during her residency clinic in psychiatry when she rotated with me in the cancer center. From early on, she stood out as a compassionate physician, leader, and educator. We were so fortunate that she stayed within the Brown academic system, completing her residency in 2011 and as chief resident, and standing out among her peers when she received the Martin B. Keller Award for the outstanding resident in general psychiatry. 1 year later, she completed her fellowship in geriatric psychiatry. We are always elated when one of our trainees decides to stay at Brown, which Laura did, joining the Miriam Hospital Outpatient Geriatric Clinic, where she now serves as clinical director, one of her many leadership roles. Dr. Stanton has excelled professionally in many realms, providing excellent care to our patients. Sorry. Can you hear me? It keeps telling me to unmute.
We can hear you now, Judy.
Have you heard me from the beginning?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm going to keep going. As clinical assistant professor since 2013, she's been educating the next generation of physicians and healthcare providers in the geriatric clinic, the Miriam Hospital CL service, the Lifespan Cancer Institute, and in Rhode Island nursing homes. She has been the Director of Geriatric Psychiatry Fellowship since 2017, the Director of Integrated Care, and most recently, the Assistant Chief of Psychiatry at Lifespan. She's been working tirelessly in integrated care, embedding psychiatric services where access and coordination of mental health services are greatly needed, and at the same time, it decreases stigma. Dr. Stanton remains actively involved in the success of her psychiatry residency by serving on the selection committee since 2013. Her talent in teaching has not gone unnoticed as she's received numerous teaching awards, including the Outstanding Teaching Award in Geriatric Psychiatry, as well as the Dean's Excellence in Teaching Award at the medical school. In addition to her many contributions to our residency, fellowship, medical school, and clinical care, she's also committed to our community as she serves as a member of the board of directors of the Rhode Island Alzheimer's Association. It's with great pleasure to present Dr. Laura Stanton, the promotion of Clinical Associate Professor. Congratulations, Laura.
Okay, now we're going to be moving on to junior promotions. This is the future of the department, and we're not going to be saying quite as much about each person, but we want them to identify themselves as we call out their names, and I'm going to be saying a little bit about where they're located. Each of these folks has started out as an instructor and is now being promoted to an assistant professor in the department. And we congratulate all of them for their terrific work with our trainees. So first is Caitlin Affleck, who is clinical assistant professor and is the lead psychologist on an adolescent inpatient unit at Bradley. Congratulations, Caitlin. Next is Alexandra Burns, also clinical assistant professor, staff psychologist at the VA. Congratulations, Alexandra. Brian Castelluccio, who is a clinical assistant professor and a clinical neuropsychologist in the memory and aging program at Butler Hospital. Congratulations on your promotion, Brian. Laura Fabricant, who is a staff psychologist at the VA, promoted to clinical assistant professor. Tanuja Gandhi, an inpatient child unit at Bradley Hospital, inpatient psychiatrist at the child unit of Bradley Hospital, being promoted to clinical educator. Zain Khalid, who went through our forensic psychiatry fellowship and is now being promoted to assistant professor, clinical educator, and inpatient psychiatrist at Butler Hospital. Jerome Liu, a product of our own Brown residency, staff psychiatrist at the outpatient at the VA, a clinical assistant professor. Matt Sheehan, also a product of our Brown residency, a psychiatrist leading the young adult program at Butler Hospital. Congratulations, Matt. Bonnie Patel, a child and adolescent inpatient psychiatrist at Hasbro 6 and being promoted to clinical educator. And finally, Laura Wu, a sleep psychologist at Lifespan in the outpatient division, being promoted to clinical assistant professor. Congratulations to all of you. We look forward to you being promoted not that long from now to clinical associate professor, and appreciate all the hard work that you've done in teaching our residents, our medical students, and our postdoctoral fellows. Next, I want to make a special mention of 3 of our emeriti honorees. These are well known to people who've been in the department a while. The first is Robert Johnston, who spent many years in so many different roles at the VA, consummate teaching clinical professor. He served in consult liaison as well as in the mobile treatment team there, in urgent care, and just about every position you could think of at the VA. We appreciate his service for so many different years. Robert, congratulations. Next is someone who needs no introduction to most of the people here who have been here at least 10 years, and that's Mickey Silver. For over 3 decades, working at the Providence Center, the medical director there for so many years, a real contributor to the community as well as to our department, and a catalyst for so many positive changes in the way that mental health has been delivered in Rhode Island. Mickey, we congratulate you on your emeritus status. And finally, Julie Wilson, psychologist who for many years ran the neuropsychology program at Pawtucket Memorial Hospital, someone who was a consummate teacher and someone who will be remembered as really developing a critical program in our psychology training program. Julie, thanks for your many years of service, and congratulations on becoming an emeritus professor. Next, I want to mention those folks who have been awarded the Dean's Excellence in Teaching Award this current year. First is Judy Berger, who I don't know if she's here this evening, but works in the PTSD clinic at the VA, someone who has really been a stalwart in teaching residents, postdoctoral fellows, and anyone rotating through the VA. Second is John Beaucamp, who is in the pediatric partial hospital at Bradley, another person who has been instrumental in teaching residents, medical students, postdoctoral fellows. John, we really appreciate your service and award that is well deserved. And finally, Kirsten Hall, who is currently at East Bay Community Action Program and in private practice. Kirsten is also a product of our own residency and a sought-after supervisor and teacher. Well-deserved honor to get this Dean's Award. Kirsten, we look forward to your continuing to have a major role in treating our, in supervising our trainees. So thank each of you for your work. And now I will be turning it over to Jeff Hunt.
Thank you, Steve. Very pleased to be here to introduce our new clinical instructors and some assistant professors. First is Dr. Kelsey Creagan, who is a staff psychologist at the Brown Center for Children at the Women and Infants Hospital. She's also a site PI for a NIH-funded study on the early indicators of developmental pathways to autism in infancy and toddlerhood. And she's very active in education with the postdoctoral fellowship and with psychology and psychiatry fellows. Congratulations, Casey. Ryan Morrison is the next one, a clinical instructor. Dr. Morrison is currently a staff psychologist in the children's partial program and in the outpatient program at Bradley Hospital. And she's been a valued already outpatient supervisor in the child psychiatry fellowship. Congratulations to Ryan. Dr. Mitch Otu isn't here, but he is a attending psychiatrist at the Hasbro Children's Hospital Emergency Department and in our PACE clinic, and is also going to be running as a co-director of the brain and behavior course for the medical students in their second year. And I think he may still be working in the ER tonight. Next, we have Justin Parent, who has returned to Brown and to Bradley. He is going to be an assistant professor and is also a PI of an R01 grant at the National Institute of Minority Health and Health Disparities, and also is half-time working as a staff psychologist in our children's partial program at Bradley Hospital. Congratulations, Justin. Dr. Petya Radova is a graduate of our fellowship and is a assistant professor and is a research child and adolescent psychiatrist at Bradley Hospital. She's working on the neural mechanisms underlying mood disorders in children and adolescents with autism spectrum disorder. Congratulations, Petya. Zachary Schindorf is a clinical instructor. He's a staff psychologist currently at the Center for Autism and Developmental Disabilities partial program and our after-school SafeQuest program. And he will be continuing to be involved in it with education as he is transitioning to a community agency. Congratulations, Zach. Katie Simon is a clinical instructor, staff psychologist on our pediatric partial program at Bradley. She is active supervisor of triple board residents and psychiatry fellows while they're on their rotation, and is also very involved with our longitudinal outpatient psychotherapy clinic for residents. Congratulations, Katie. Melanie Stark is currently a staff psychologist on our outpatient child psychiatry clinic at Bradley, and she's been there for the last 3 years. And she's a very active supervisor and leads our Monday psychotherapy clinic at Bradley. Congratulations to Melanie. And I'll hand it over to Jody.
Thank you, Jeff. I don't know if I'm muted. See me? Okay. Just going to announce the appointments for Rhode Island Hospital and Lifespan. First one is Giuseppe D'Amelio. He's going to be working as a staff psychiatrist. He is working as a staff psychiatrist at Young Adult Behavioral Health in Providence. Aaron Estrella is a PA at our Rhode Island Hospital Consultation Liaison Service. He has been appointed as a teaching associate. Russell Marks, working at our Rhode Island Hospital Partial Hospital Program, appointed as a clinical instructor. Christina Mele, she is appointed as a clinical instructor. She's working at the Rhode Island Hospital Partial Hospital Program. Lorraine Pierney is a staff psychiatrist, clinical instructor at the Rhode Island Hospital Partial Hospital Program. Hatham Salam is a staff psychiatrist at Rhode Island Hospital, appointed as a clinical instructor at Rhode Island Hospital Inpatient Psychiatry in the East Providence Outpatient Psychiatry Office. And lastly, Timothy Steinhoff, a staff psychiatrist who's appointed as clinical instructor at the Rhode Island Hospital Consultation Liaison Service and the Lifespan Cancer Institute. Thank you. Now I turn it over to Beth McQuaid.
I'm waiting for my the host to stop my video, so I'm waiting for media services to turn it back up. Okay. All right, great. So I am happy to present our next crop of new appointments. I'm going to start with the Honorable Stephen Erickson, who is being appointed as an adjunct professor. Judge Erickson teaches an interdisciplinary course in mental health law and forensic psychiatry in conjunction with Roger Williams School of Law, where he's also an adjunct professor. We welcome him to the faculty. I am pleased to also present Kelsey Kangas as a new assistant professor on our faculty. Dr. Kangas, after doing her training here with us at Brown, is presently the Director of Institutional Equity and Diversity at Brown. Welcome to Dr. Kangas. Also happy to present Dr. Morgan Cranes as an assistant professor, parentheses research. Also a former trainee here of the Brown program. We are thrilled to have Dr. Cranes join us and also as a research psychologist at Butler Hospital. Welcome to her as well. Dr. Daniel Manfra will be appointed as a clinical instructor. Dr. Manfra is presently the Assistant Director of Forensic Service at Eleanor Slater Hospital. welcome to him as well. Pleased also to welcome Dr. Frederica Petschner, who is being appointed as an assistant professor. Dr. Petschner is co-director of the new Brainstorm program at the Carney Institute for Brain Science at Brown University. And my last appointee, also a former trainee, Dr. Melissa Pielek, is being appointed as an assistant professor. Dr. Pielek is based at the Center for Alcohol and Addiction Studies here at Brown. We welcome you all to our faculty.
Okay, it is my privilege and honor to present 5 of my colleagues at the VA who are being appointed to faculty positions. The first is Dr. Joseph Burlow, who being appointed assistant professor. Dr. Burlow did his training at Brown. He was a R25 resident and joined us at the VA and is a staff psychiatrist there and an investigator at our Center for Neurorestoration and Neurotechnology funded by the VA. And Dr. Burlow also serves as the assistant curriculum director for the Brown residency. So we welcome him to the faculty. Melanie Bozay is being appointed assistant professor, Friends Research. Dr. Bozay also came from Brown, did her internship and postdoctoral fellowship, and she's currently the associate director of the Suicide Prevention Research and Innovation Group at the VA. And last year, she became the PI of a multiple PI NIMH funded R01 to develop a based model of proximal risk for suicide. So welcome, Melanie, to the faculty. Jessica Capilano is being appointed clinical instructor. Jessica did her postdoctoral fellowship through the Clinical Psychology Consortium at Brown and working at the VA. She initially served as a project manager on a research study and is currently working as clinical psychologist for the home-based primary care program, which is a multidisciplinary team treating chronically ill and primarily homebound veterans. Next is Deborah Mckenna, who's being appointed teaching associate. Deborah has a doctor in nursing practice from the University of Massachusetts and became certified as a nurse practitioner. First in gerontology and then subsequently completed postgraduate psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner program at the University of Massachusetts. And she is working at our urgent care program at the VA and also in the opioid program and providing some orientation and supervision residents who rotate through the VA there. And then Ryan Van Patten is being appointed assistant professor. Dr. Van Patten was most recently at Mass General and Spalding Hospital, and we were able to convince him to come to Brown and to take a position as a clinical neuropsychologist at the Providence VA, and we welcome him to the department. And I will pass things over to Laura Stroud.
Thanks so much, Bob. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome 3 faculty to 2 centers at the Miriam Hospital. First is Hallie Espel-Wynn, who will be based at the Weight Control and Diabetes Research Center. Welcome. And she comes to us from the Behavioral Medicine T32, and before that, the clinical internship here at Brown. So welcome to the faculty. Next up is Natasha Sokol. Dr. Sokol comes to us from a postdoc fellowship at the Center for Alcohol and Addiction Studies and previously completed a PhD in social epidemiology. She's a research scientist and assistant professor at the Center for Behavioral and Preventive Medicine at the Miriam. Welcome. And next is Dr. L.G. Ward, also serving as a research scientist at the Center for Behavioral and Preventive Medicine. She will also be doing some work with the Women's Medicine Collaborative. She comes to us from the HIV Adult and Adolescent T32 postdoctoral fellowship, as well as the clinical internship at Brown. Delighted to welcome all of you to the faculty.
So I'd like to once again thank Holly Wilker and the Brown Media Services for putting tonight's program together, and to congratulate all of those folks who have been promoted, as well as welcome all of the new faculty to our department. I hope you take the opportunity to be able to congratulate folks in person as you have the opportunity to meet them, and to be able to meet the new members of our department and engage them in the teaching and research life of the department. I'd like to thank all the presenters for coming and presenting, and hope that everybody has a good weekend and a good Thanksgiving. And we look forward to seeing you at our December Grand Rounds, which will be given by our own Lisa Ubelacher on the first Wednesday in December. So good night and thank you.